Alright, hello folks. What's going on, ladies and gents? How you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. Welcome to today's gameplay stream. It is a later stream because, I made a pot of Italian sauce. And when I made the pot of Italian sauce, it took about an extra hour, in the morning of me to get stuff done. And so the stream is a little late, but it's cool because the stream will be running a little later than usual as well. Usually it only runs till around 4 p.m. It's going to be running till around 4:30 p.m. today, Pacific time. Okay? So, let's talk a little bit. What's today's stream going to be? Well, today is going to be the beginning of a new run in Dead Rising. Now, I already played Dead Rising a couple weeks back. I did overall like the game, although the game was incredibly frustrating. Quite honestly, the game is incredibly broken. It is just completely and utterly unfair. Alright? It's just not. It's to the point where there's just so much ridiculousness with, not being able to target an enemy. Not having, controls that are accurate in this case, and I don't know why, but when I was playing the first run of Dead Rising, I couldn't even do half of the, melee-style combat moves that I was supposed to be able to do in the game. They just wouldn't work. My character would constantly roll by accident, which I didn't want. And on top of that, if you just don't know what to do in the game, like if you don't know, oh, this great weapon is located here, or, oh, to kill this boss, you need to use this kind of abusable tactic because it really is unfair and overpowered. And just wonky physics. There's just so much weird about the game. Now listen, the game is old. The game is 10 years old. So in a lot of ways, it was the beginning of what became Dead Rising 2, Dead Rising 2 Off the Record, Dead Rising 3. The series is progressing. We're going to have a new one in December, Dead Rising 4, right? So in a lot of ways, it's understandable that, it has these flaws. It was the first attempt at something completely different and creative, years and years ago. And that's okay. That's perfectly okay. So, what I'm going to do this time around is a little different than my first run. My first run through the game, what I was really trying to do was just kind of get an idea of what exactly the game was, right? I had played this game originally when it was a new release. I didn't really like it back then. I still have a lot of the same gripes and issues with the game now that I had back then. The controls and all of that. But I'm happy that I played it because a lot of people, over the years have held this game in really high regard and just, it's one of their classic faves, and it really is a game that turned into a successful franchise, so it's always good to go back and play the original installments of games like this so that you can get that background and understand what exactly it is that made that series popular, right? It makes sense. It's good to get that education. In a lot of ways, it's what I did with games like Mafia and stuff earlier this year. It just made sense to do so because if I hadn't played Mafia 2, I wouldn't understand Mafia 3, right? So kind of the same deal here. Playing the original is going to give me more background for when I play Dead Rising 4 later in the year. This run through the game is going to be very different. Alright, I just want to make that abundantly clear. It's going to be very different. This is going to be a run where it's New Game Plus, so I already have all my abilities, right? I'm already going to have all the abilities from the first run, which by default is going to make the game way easier in my opinion, okay? Now also what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be taking a lot of advice from the stream chat, alright? Now, most playthroughs I don't do this. Most playthroughs I'm like, oh, this is an honest playthrough, it's my first run through the game, and I don't want too much spoiled. In all honesty, I am kind of happy that a lot of people did help me out with my first run through the game, because if they hadn't, I don't know if I ever would have even beaten it. It was just so difficult and so cryptic, and you don't know how you're going to kill this boss, and, where is this item that's a good item for me to use? It's just really not well designed in that regard. Just a lot of bugs, bugginess, and wonky physics, and just a lot of annoyances. So I am happy that people did help me eventually with my first run in the game. But that being said, this run, what I want to do is kind of go back and do what I missed. And people were saying during my first run, oh man, I'm really sad that Phil missed out on this boss or this particular thing in the game, because it would have been awesome to see him fight this guy. This is what, this is one of my favorite fights of the game if Phil didn't do it or whatever, okay? So that's kind of my goal this time around, is to go back and do the stuff that I missed. Now, the thing is, I don't know what I missed, If I knew what I missed, or looked it up or whatever, It would be a lot different than having people say, okay, Phil, here's my strategy for this. Here's the thing. Already someone sent me a recipe mixing guide for different recipes and stuff that I can make with the blender, which is nice. And that's kind of what I want to do. Make this a more interactive deal where I am kind of teaming up with people watching, right? Rather than it just being about me flubbing around and failing and raging and getting pissed off at the game because I don't know what to do. And I'm sure you know, especially if you're a fan of the game, you know, and you've played it before, you know way more better than I would of what things I missed out on and what things would be fun for me to do in this second run now that it's a New Game Plus run, right? And I have the capabilities of doing things I couldn't do the first time around. So it's going to be fun and different, you know. Like I said, usually my first run through of the game is an honest run through. This is going to be different. Already New Game Plus, better abilities, and, you know, really trying to do it a little bit differently than normal. I don't know how it's going to turn out. You know, it's something that I'm doing differently, and sometimes these things work out, sometimes they don't. Sometimes people really like them, and sometimes people find them boring. I don't know. I think it's worth a shot for this week, just something different until the new releases start coming out, like Mafia 3 and all of that. All right? Now, just to forewarn everyone, today is Saucy Sunday, which means I am making a pot of Italian sauce. That's actually why I'm late to stream today, because I was downstairs making a pot of Italian sauce, all right? Now, because of this, unfortunately, I started late, but I am going to be running a little later on the stream, which is good. But also, about every half an hour or so, I'm going to have to go downstairs to stir and season the sauce. In fact, before we even start with gameplay, right after I finish this pre-stream, I'm going to go downstairs and season the sauce and then we're going to get started with gameplay, all right? So just to forewarn everyone, there are going to be breaks about every 30 minutes or so. But I am going to be going to around 4:30. And what I'm going to do tonight, FYI, is on Twitter, @TheyCallMeDSP, I am going to do a poll. Alright? I'm going to do a poll where you can determine what I do tomorrow. Do you want to see me continue with this Dead Rising New Game Plus run? Or do you want to see me do more Forza? I've actually enjoyed a lot Forza, and yesterday's stream in particular was a lot of fun. I really had fun yesterday playing Forza. Because it unlocked a lot of new events and things in the game, and it was really good. It was entertaining, it was fun, it was different, right? Playing a racing game is refreshing because it's something I almost never do, and I have enjoyed doing that over the past few days, so I'm sure there are going to be some people that are going to want to see more Forza. There's going to be people who want to see more Dead Rising, so there'll be a poll tonight to determine what I do tomorrow, okay? And then for the rest of this week, that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm going to be balancing Dead Rising New Game Plus with Forza. Tomorrow I'm going to be finishing up my Banjo-Kazooie playthrough. Alright, that's going to be tomorrow night, so that'll finish up. That's good. Get that out of the way. All leading up to Friday's big premiere of Mafia 3, where all day long I'll be playing Mafia 3. Both on my first and second gameplay sessions will be Mafia 3, which I'm very excited for. Hopefully the game is good. I guess we'll find out together firsthand on Friday, right? And that's pretty much it for the week. It's going to be the balance of these things ongoing. What I do want to do eventually later this week is do a review of Forza Horizon 3. I don't know if I'm going to beat the game, though, because it seems like the game has a ton, I mean a ridiculous ton of content in it, to the point where I don't think I would even be able to, even if I played it full time this week, I don't know if I would finish it. So it won't necessarily be a full-on review, but it might more be just kind of my feelings on it after playing a freaking racing game after so long, okay? Now, one other thing. It is official. I announced this yesterday. I want to announce it again for those who weren't here yesterday. It is official, ladies and gents. We hit the funding goal for Patreon for the month of September, which is great. Happy about that, because what it means is that we're going to be doing an actual Halloween horror marathon. That's going to be sweet. I cannot wait for that, seriously. I love Halloween. I love horror. Already, Leanna and I have been watching like horror-themed and thriller-themed series. We've been watching The Twilight Zone and Alfred Hitchcock Presents the past couple of nights, and we're really getting into a Halloween theme around here, okay? So, tonight, what I'm going to do is on the forums, thekingofhate.com, I'm going to set up the nominations thread, and people who pledged in the month of September are going to start nominating horror-themed games for me to play on this Halloween horror marathon, alright? Also, if you're a new pledgee from September and you're waiting to maybe get premium forum access and stuff like that so you can start participating in that, I'm going to be doing that this week. I'll get all your forum accounts upgraded. So if you did pledge to my Patreon in the month of September, FYI, I will be messaging you on patreon.com tonight to get your stuff going, all right? To get your stuff going, to get you upgraded and all of that. So you need to keep your eyes and ears open. If you don't respond to the PM, obviously, I can't get you upgraded and I can't get you in on the nomination and voting process. So please keep your eyes and ears peeled, ladies and gentlemen who pledged in September, okay? Outside of that, there's not too much else to talk about. I'm looking forward to today. Today should be a fun day. This week in particular, even though I'm finishing up older stuff, there's so much new stuff on the horizon that I'm kind of feeling good about this coming month of October, and hopefully it turns out well with all the new releases. Let's at least get, let's try to make it so that half the new releases this month aren't duds. Let's put it that way. A lot of these new releases stuff are sequels. Let's hope that at least half of them don't suck. How about that? I think that would be a good goal for the month of October. All right. Outside of that, not too much else to talk about. Okay? So I think what we're going to do is we're going to get started momentarily here. What I will do is, like I said, before I actually start with gameplay, we'll run downstairs. Well, I'll run downstairs with Leanna. Not you and I. You're watching on stream. I'm pretty sure you can't come downstairs with me. And season the sauce. Get the sauce going. Stir it up. And then we'll come back and we'll begin with New Game Plus Dead Rising. Okay? Sound good? Hopefully it is good to you. Hopefully you enjoy it. This will be something completely different. And again, it'll be, the power will be in your hands later tonight of if I continue this tomorrow or if I go back to Forza for a bit. So let's see how this goes and we'll judge from that, right? Okay. All right. Well, that's it, everyone. Let me end the pre-stream. Let me head downstairs quick. Get the sauce stirred up, seasoned, and then we can begin. Sound good? Fair enough? All right. I'll be back in a few minutes and then we'll begin. Thanks, everybody.